How to prepare your new acrylic brush. When you bought an acrylic brush for the first time, you always receive them in packaging. This is the packaging. They always come in a plastic packaging, like a tube like this, as you can see, or like this in even more packaging. And what we need to do is to make sure the brush is ready for use. I'm going to show this demonstration of how you do this with my own brush, which I have been using for a few years now because I don't want to open one of these new ones. So I'll put these to one side. My brush, here you can see it's got a lid on it, because when you buy an acrylic brush, some of them come with a lid and some come without. It doesn't really matter which type you have, but anyway, you will open your acrylic brush, take it out, and what you need to do is, acrylic brushes, when they've been transported, they're always covered in a special type of gum. It's called it's a special type of gum, and what you need, and that keeps all of the hairs together. It keeps it in a nice point. And what you need to do is you need to remove the gum before use. So what you do is you take a small wipe and you make sure you go underneath a good light and you brush the gum out of your brush. You keep doing this. And when you're doing it underneath the light, you can see all of the dust coming out of the brush. I just said dust, it's not actually dust, but you can see the gum coming out of the brush. This may actually take you up to about 5 minutes, but of course with a new brush you don't want to ruin it. So just keep on doing this. Make sure all of the dust is out of it. My acrylic brush, I've used it before, so it doesn't have any gum in it. I'm going to show you the next step now. What you do is, this is ready, and then you just take a small dish and you take your acrylic liquid, otherwise known as monomer, and a little pipette, and you take a small amount out. You put it into your dish, which is a clean dish. Make sure that it has been cleaned with some alcohol before use. Here you take a larger nail wipe. What you do is you put your brush into the small dish and you keep on pressing it in there. Make sure your brush is completely saturated with the liquid. You do want to apply pressure to this. And when you're doing this, you will see that small bubbles start to come out of the brush. And that's what you want to happen. That's a good sign. So keep doing this until the bubbles keep coming out. Those are small air bubbles which are locked in between the hairs of the brush. And if you don't remove them from your brush, then they will end up in your nails which you're making. They will end up in your acrylic nails, and that will mean that your acrylic nails are weaker. The next thing you need to do is to wipe your brush back and forth on your wipe, and you need to make sure that you wipe it in the direction of the shape of your brush. As you can see, this one is a flatter brush. Here it's rounded, and here this metal part is flat. You need to wipe it in that direction. You don't want to be wiping it to the side because you will bring your brush out of shape. Go back into your liquid and just keep checking to see where all the bubbles are coming away, and then you just keep on wiping. So just keep on doing this. As I said, you might have to do this for 5 minutes. This is the last thing you do. You go back in, you wipe gently, and when you wipe you can gently turn your brush round, and what you want to do is you want to make sure it's back into a lovely point. That's how you want your brush always when you've finished using it. I'll just move these away to show you the next thing. Oops, let's get rid of that. What we want to do now is to store our acrylic brush. Here's how to store your brush. What you do is you make sure that your brush is always stored flat, because you don't want the acrylic liquid going back into this part of your brush, because if it goes into here it can cause rusting and that will ruin your brush over time. Never store your brush upright. This is actually the worst way to store your brush, because the liquid can really go down here and ruin your brush. You want to store it flat. This brush, some brushes do come with a lid, and if the lid has got a small hole in it like this one has, you can put the lid onto your brush, and you can store it like this, but it's always best to make sure that everything has evaporated from your brush first of all. So first of all, leave it out for a while. Leave it out for 15 minutes or so to make sure everything is evaporated before you put your lid on. I personally have never stored my brush with the lid on. I've always stored it completely open, and then I store it in a special box for brushes. There are many types of boxes, or you could always store your brush in a drawer, lying flat, but I'll show you how I store mine. I've got a box here. It's got a few marks on it. It's well used. I've had this for years. But once you have a box, it's not something that you need to replace often. What you do is you open it, you get your brush, you put it into the box, into the special space, and there you go. That's how you store it. You can close the lid, you can tighten the clasp, and there you go, stored nicely. This film showed you how to prepare your brush, your new brush, the first time that you use it.